Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about LTCN BCHG and HZEN specifically, and we'll take a quick look, a brief overview of the other grayscale trusts and how they're absolutely moonshotting right now, or they're about ready to, as you guys are going to see in a minute. So let's get it. So let's actually go ahead and move this to one window. So as you guys can see here, LTCN has had a massive move up. For those of you that follow us on X, we have told you that Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, the underlying for these funds, have moved up massively in the last week. And I do mean massively. Like, I think Litecoin went up like 35% and Bitcoin Cash went up nearly 100%. It's absolutely insane. So this is this is just my opinion, of course. Okay, not financial advice, but I'm starting to get the feeling that this is the most critical time right now as I'm speaking to you guys on the Grayscale Trust. I have a feeling, could be wrong about this, things could always go awry, but I have a feeling that the Grayscale Trusts are getting ready right now to push to all-time highs. Okay. So we went over in the previous video today, as a matter of fact, that was made public today, that we basically were looking for three criteria for the Grayscale Trust to go to all-time highs. Number one, Bitcoin was getting ready to break past its all-time high. Number two, what was the other one? The halving event would have already taken place. And number three, we were closer towards the end of the year. But the funny thing about that is that Bitcoin is actually looking like it's about to break its all-time highs, literally as I'm speaking to you right now. So as you guys can see on the charts here, we have had a massive move up. So pretty large move, 11% just in one day. Keep in mind, we have 3 more days until the close of this candle here. We told you guys about this ascending triangle or flag pattern, and basically the target is pretty much all the way at the top of this resistance, so about 27 bucks. But I want to point something out to you guys. So basically, once Bitcoin, I'll say this one more time, once Bitcoin had broken past its all-time highs, we were past the halving, and we were closer to the end of the halving year. Once all those things lined up, the Grayscale Trust specifically started lighting off like fireworks. As you guys can see here, you have this basically flat line here. And then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, basically 6 weeks to take profit on LTCN as it was moonshotting. And then we just kind of chopped around sideways and whatnot before we eventually dumped off. So the all-time high for LTCN is $510. We are not going to be selling our LTCN for profit anymore at this point. Reason being is because we think that LTCN is going to go to all-time highs from this point. So I want to point this out to you guys for those of you that are not watching this in real time. Bitcoin is at $68,500 right now. The all-time high, which happened with a wick close on the weekly, was at 69,000. As you guys can see, it's pushing up there right now. So this could literally be the week that LTCN and BCHG push up to all-time highs, and the other Grayscale trusts too. I want you guys to keep this in mind. It's really important, okay? One of those 3 key metrics. The other one is the halving. And then, of course, us getting closer to the end of the year, which is typically when Bitcoin goes to all-time highs, but it looks like it might be going to all-time highs this week. So all I can say is I'm glad that we started loading the boat long before this point and didn't, kind of slack off and say, oh, well, it's not going to pump until December, so let's just wait till April, June to start loading the boat, because that, at least as it stands now, that would have been a massive mistake. So big move on LTCN. If this thing does go to those prices in 6 weeks like it did before, that would basically put us right around the middle of May or so. End of April, middle of May, somewhere in there. Of course, keep in mind, LTCN could go higher than 500. It could go to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. Nobody really knows where the top is because the spot Bitcoin ETFs have been approved. I highly, highly doubt that LTCN's top at this point is going to be $500. I think it's going to be much higher because there's Clearly no stopping Bitcoin at this point. I mean, we kind of thought by this point that it would have sold off because, I mean, if we just take a look at the chart here, we'll look at it. You guys can see how massive this move was off the EMAs here. It's just a crazy, crazy move. And we have not pulled back since. It's just been a monster move, roughly about 65%. You guys can see the maximum drop here would be nearly basically a 50% drop to the downside on Bitcoin if it were to happen, but clearly it looks like we're going to bust through all-time highs, possibly even today. So that's the reason I'm getting this out to you guys right now. So LTCN has broken bullish out of the ascending triangle. The immediate target is $27, but obviously the all-time high is much higher. We're not selling because Bitcoin is about ready to break its all-time highs, and we think that it's important to hold at this point to see much higher highs. You guys can see that Horizon has also done something very similar. This could be considered also to be an ascending triangle pattern of sorts here. So you have these, these candles down here moving higher and higher and higher on the bottom and holding resistance on the top. That's a very bullish pattern. And we've clearly just busted straight out of it, had a massive move up. So 23% on the day. That's just in one day, y'all. So potentially a 6x to the upside, unless it goes higher, of course, which could always happen. BCHG, this one was just an absolute beast. So the high is at $60. Current price is at $6. So still looking at potentially a 10x just to get to the highs. But you guys can see that the ascending triangle pattern did play out. So Bitcoin Cash moved up massively. We had this ascending triangle, and then boom, we had a massive gap up, plus also a huge move on the day. This big move that we had on BCHG, I would say that's pretty indicative, and LTCN, of much higher highs to come, because if this thing was not going to move up, it would not have had such a massive explosive move to the upside like this. That's generally kind of what you look for when you're getting ready to see crypto move to absolutely massive, massive heights. So, same thing on GXLM. All of these are starting to pop off. Of course, it makes sense because Bitcoin's about to push its all-time highs. We told you guys this most likely was going to happen, that as soon as Bitcoin is getting ready to break its all-time highs, or when it's past its all-time highs, somewhere in between there, these things are going to pop off. So GXLM, you guys can see this thing has just been pushing up massively. We thought maybe this might be a cup and handle pattern, but at this point it looks like maybe that's not going to play out. ETH Classic, in my opinion, is still very cheap compared to the high here. You can see it's all the way up at $96, but we're currently at 17. It's just now broken out of that ascending triangle and starting to push up. The immediate target for that's $22, just so y'all know. Zcash, this was kind of a shocker right here. Wasn't expecting this one to move up so much, but you can see that it is still roughly about 5-6x-ish from all-time highs. With the spot Bitcoin ETFs being approved, though, Zcash, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's basically anything that's a knockoff of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi Vision, Bitcoin Diamond, Litecoin, Dash, Zcash are all oscillators to Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes up, these all go up. But you can see we busted basically straight through all of these resistances. GSOL's still on fire. This thing's still moonshotting. As you guys can see, I would not buy this one. If it was me, I'd rather buy either Zcash or ETH Classic. So Mana, yeah, this one's had a pretty massive explosive move too, 42%. GBAT, well, a pretty modest move, 12% still pretty good. I mean, 12% of $1,000 is still $120. This one's pulled back a little bit, G-Link, but not really surprising. I mean, look at how overextended it is. And FILG is just, this thing's done the impossible. I would not be surprised if this pulled back further, but then again, we'll just have to wait and see. So, but yeah, basically the two main important things I want to point out here is if Bitcoin breaks its all-time highs, as it looks like it's going to, then all of these grayscale trusts are probably going to start moonshining, okay? And there's a second piece that I wanted to throw in here as an added bonus that y'all probably don't know about, and that is the potential for a spot Ether ETF, okay? So a lot of people speculate that Ethereum, which we really haven't covered on this channel, but we do own just a little bit. I think we own like maybe a quarter of an ETH or something like that. It wasn't really our top priority in the bear market. Our top priority was kind of to pick up the cheapest altcoins, where that's basically the largest return you're going to get is in altcoins. Definitely get a bigger return in Ethereum than you probably would Bitcoin, but still not as good as altcoins. So anyways, with that being said, you can see we're not far from the all-time highs, but since the spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved, and you guys have obviously seen the reaction from the price of Bitcoin, it still might be potentially, it may still be early and even cheap to get into Ethereum, because we don't really know what the spot Ether ETF, if it does get approved, will do to the price of Ethereum. But if it's anything like Bitcoin, Ethereum and all of the altcoins are going to just absolutely shred to the upside. There's no telling where the limit could be. There might not even be a limit because, as you guys know, some of these companies like BlackRock and Fidelity, for example, the two biggest ones in the spot Bitcoin ETF markets now, have a combined total of nearly 20 trillion in assets under management. Okay, I want you guys to understand how big that is. That is 2/3 of the entire United States national debt in assets under management. So there is massive, unprecedented upside for Ethereum and the altcoins if a spot Ether ETF does get approved. But in the meantime, if Bitcoin's to break its all-time highs, definitely expecting a lot of these, if not all of these grayscale trusts to go higher. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see y'all later. Peace.